Welcome back to the channel. We are back, another Arsenal show on Lead Judges TV. We've got an elite panel today. I thought after last night's result, I need a little bit of Arsenal therapy. Are we all taking it a bit over the top? Is there too much of a meltdown from a certain section of the fan base? Or is there cause for concern and right to worry as Arsenal narrow the lead now, 4 points ahead of Manchester City after dropping points to a very good Brentford side? I don't think I've been given enough credit actually in the last 24 hours, I must say. However, we're going to talk about it, and to do that, we have some brilliant people. Obviously, we've got lead judges. We've got Simon Miller in the house. Simon, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, buddy. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I mean, obviously, last night was disappointing, but I've had a nice day today, and I'm trying to forget about it, man. But it is what it is, and we're here to talk about it. But I appreciate you coming on, bruv. It's your first time on the channel, I believe. You've been on mine before, but
that's right. Yeah, jumping across, making a nuisance of myself. Yeah,
first time we met. First time we met.
Absolutely. Lovely to meet you.
Lee does that with everyone, by the way. I said, Lee, have you met Simon? He said, no, not yet. I can't see him because I ain't got my glasses. He does that with everyone, Simon. So obviously don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Mr. Tom Canton in the house. Tom, what are you saying, bruv?
How you doing, guys? You good? All good?
Very good, man. Very good. Listen to your show this morning and some very interesting information and stats that I'm going to ask you about, Tom. So, I'm looking forward to that.
Can we just say so? I have been bigging this man up over the last week, but he's let himself down this week. He's got a lie.
What
have I done now? What did I do?
I know what you're going to say.
We're coming to that. We're coming
to it. Leave it.
Oh, no. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, we will go into it, actually. I want to ask him about that as well. But we got Sophie from Highbury Squad, the boat captain herself. Soph, how you doing?
I just realised what it is. Tom, brace yourself, okay?
Goodness.
At ease, everyone.
I might hop off now.
We're not cleaning windows.
Boat captain.
Oh no, we'll get into it.
Friday moods. Boat captain here to report and save this sinking ship. Over.
Big up to you, Soph. Big up to you, Soph. Look, I normally would start with Lee, and I've spoken to Tom and Soph. I'm going to start with Simon, actually. But before I do that, make sure you do me a favor, people. Hit like, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following every single one on this panel. We'll put out unbelievable content. Highbury Squad, Gooner Talk TV, Simon Miller on YouTube and social media platforms, and Football's 12th Man. And of course, like and subscribe to this one, Lead Judges TV. Make sure you're following OK Jersey. Use the code Lee. You'll get 8% off. The World Cup jerseys are out, people. So click on the link in the description or go to okjersey.com and use that code Lee, and you'll get 8% off of any World Cup team or shirt that you want. You can get any name and number on the back as well. So make sure you go check them out. Simon, I'm just going to ask you simply, how do you feel this morning after last night's drama, bruv?
I mean, it's so difficult because we've now had a day of taking pelters. At least I have anyway. I don't have anybody else. And that does bring your mood down more, because when you have such a big lead in the league and then also it gets reduced, gets knocked out, you find it hard to sort of come back with, even if it's factual statements, you find it hard to come back with. But it's so I always try and keep my brain and the way I'm feeling wrapped up in the actual match itself. And you hit the nail on the head, Dan. Getting a draw away to Brentford at the moment is a decent result. It's a decent result. They're really, really good. They're well oiled. They know what they're doing. They got good experience. They got good players. The counterpoint, which I hold my hands up to admit to, is if you want to win the Premier League, you should beat Brentford away, right? That's usually, if you were going to start the season, you were going to tick box and you were going to put X's. You get to Brentford away, you go, we'll win that one if we're winning the league. That's not how football works. Still 4 points ahead. I think it all depends what happens in that Tottenham game in 10 days, whenever it is, 7 days, I don't know how far, however long it is away. Because all of a sudden we come out flying in that, you know what will happen, right? All of a sudden, let's say City draw and we win. All of a sudden the rhetoric will turn around. They're like, oh, they're pulling away again, and City have done it. I remember Aston Villa winning the title a month ago. Remember that? Aston Villa going to win the league, and then United got three games on a bounce. And people are like, oh, they don't have any European football. They're going to win the league, which is the most preposterous thing I've heard in a long time. But you get these pockets of conversations. I think where I get more concerned is in the performance itself, because you watched it. And I think the best way it was put to me today by a mate of mine, he said, how did he phrase it? He said something along the lines of, Brentford didn't hold you to a draw. You held Brentford to a draw. So I find it hard to, I kind of find it difficult to sort of fight back against that. And I think that's the biggest problem is I love the defensive unit that we built, but I think sometimes do we even have it in our locker anymore to just fly off the handle and go nuts on a team as and when we need to, because we haven't seen it for a while. I'm sure it's there, but after a while, you do start to question it. So that's where my major concern is. That's when I started to get worried. Is when I'm like, if this is the performance that we're doing to the rest of the season, then we're in trouble. If it's a one-off and we're going to dust ourselves off and get through FA Cup weekend and go again, that's completely different. But that's my main takeaway.
Yeah, look, you make some really good points, Simon. Tom, let me come to you. Your thoughts. I mean, I spoke to you earlier and we had a bit of a chat in a WhatsApp chat, but I haven't actually spoken to you other than listening to you on your podcast this morning. How are you feeling now, almost coming up to sort of 24 hours before we're getting ready to look at team news and this game, which had a lot of pressure on it, let's be real.
Yeah, no, I'm incredibly disappointed with the performance. I mean, particularly the first half. We basically just sacrificed an entire half of football, it felt like, in that game. And only came alive in the first kind of 15, 20 minutes of the second before. I mean, after we scored, I just felt, I was listening to the Vision's post-match reaction pod, and Tim Stillman was talking about how when Madueke scored, he just said he saw just abject horror in the Arsenal team going 1-0 up. And this idea that, oh no, we've scored, we've got to hold on to something now. And it was just such a shame that they didn't kind of take that. It was similar to the Man United game where we went a goal up in that fixture, and then again, just all the nerve just set in. And it was like kind of that way from like the first minute. Gabriel played that pass out for a corner, and Raya had that miscontrolled touch on the goal line. You could just get the sense that they weren't all fully focused and they weren't just with it. And it's so bizarre because 7 goals scored in those 2 previous league games against Leeds and Sunderland. You're thinking, right, we've responded from that Man United defeat. We've managed to get a bit of a run going. Go to Brentford with a point to prove. City have won their game, closed the gap to 3 points. All this noise and rhetoric around, Arsenal are going to slip up at Brentford. Prove them wrong. Play through your skin. And they just didn't. Players went missing. I mean, Zubimendi probably had his most disappointing performance of the season. Eze was entirely invisible. I felt sorry for Gyökeres because I felt Gyökeres had a decent game actually up top, and he really missed Kai Havertz. I think he's really needing players much closer to him, and Kai's been that player to play much closer and give him that support. But as soon as Eze was in there, just huge gaps between him and everybody else, and he was kind of fighting shadows almost at times. And it was brilliant to see him basically nearly set up the goal at the end when he played Timber through and Martinelli should score. And the irony is, of course, despite all that, we could have won it at the end and didn't take the opportunity when it fell to us. So, yeah, incredibly frustrating. We'll go into some of the finer details, I'm sure. But it's not... The only thing I will say on just, I like to put a positive spin on things, is what I will say is that this is probably on paper our second toughest game that we had left this season. The one being tougher being the City game. Of all the games we've got left, I'd say this is probably the second toughest because of how good they are at home and against big teams. And I think every other game we've got this season, I'd say, is not as challenging besides that trip to City. So take the point, run away and lick our wounds and look to go again next game.
Yeah, there's certainly some positives you're looking at there, Tom. And I'll be real, Soph, I was a little bit raging last night because I just felt like it was such an opportunity missed yet again. And I do hear the fan base saying, it's like we win that game, it's 10 points. We're going to win the league. I say, when we go 10 points, I'll say it with you, babe. I'll have a chest and I'll be right with you, baby, saying we're going to win this league. We haven't been able to do that. And then it's like, yeah, but it's still 7 points. Yeah, it's still 6 points. Yeah, it's still 4 points. Christ, it's going to be 2 soon. I'm starting to be on that bandwagon where a lot of the section of the fan base is starting to get a bit worried. Now, you're always going to get a section that are going over the top. Oh, my God, sack him now. It's a disgrace. But you're also going to get the ones that are like, well, let's just calm. It's easy. We won this league. Let's just all chill out because it's coming to the Emirates. I don't know where your kind of side of the fence is. So how are you feeling right now?
Okay, so firstly, the whole conversation that ensues about it's Arsenal's to lose and awarding teams leagues in December and January is ridiculous, right? No one should ever buy into that narrative and rhetoric. I understand why we have and why we do is because we want it so bad. I tell you what, guys, fear is a horrible thing. Whether you're a professional footballer trying to win a title or you're just trying to make the mortgage every month, fear is crippling. And on paper, this team is the best team, not only in England, but in Europe. And I was doing your show the other day, Dan, and we're talking with Christian and Shane. And, we were having this conversation about we're playing the best football. And, Shane thought that was really funny and laughed like a villain in a Batman movie. It was hilarious. But I saw his point, but I saw Christian's and I made mine in that I do believe if you look at how we're playing and the style we've adopted, we have played the most professional, mature football of a lot of teams in Europe this season. I think what we did yesterday was fans, not the team, fans underestimated Brentford's evolution since we last played them, right? And I know she won't mind me reading this message, but we had Natalie Sawyer on the show a couple of days ago. And I asked her, why are Brentford much better now? What is it that you've done that is so different? And aside from players coming back from injury, I think it's the positiveness and the confidence and the relationship that Keith Andrews finally built with his team as a manager, right? As a head coach or whatever. And then she sent me this message this morning because I wrote and I said, your team was brilliant last night. And it shouldn't be taken away in the reporting that Brentford were excellent. And I actually spoke to Kenny Ken last night and he told me, and I'm sure he won't mind, he said that's one of the best teams he's seen face Arsenal in a long, long, long time. And I was like, really? And then I got this message from Natalie and I thought, and the penny dropped. She said, because I told her what Kenny said and she goes, that's nice to hear. It was quite the game. From our perspective, you could see we done our homework and we gave it a good go. It's pleased we were so much better than the game at the Emirates. I thought Declan Rice was having a hard first half, but he took control of things in the second. A point gained for both of us. So I think sometimes our expectations are here and expectations kill joy, right? This is a London derby. How many London derbies do we have left? We still have 2, 3 left to go. People underestimate the intensity of a London derby. It's not just the North London derby. You got Chelsea, you got Brentford, you got Palace. It's competitive, much more than up north when it comes to those close rivalries. So for me, I walked away from this thinking a little bit like Sunderland away. I'm happy we walked away with a point, even though we let the goal in at the end against Sunderland. They were on the ascendancy. They were the team that were evolving. And it's the same with Brentford. We were able to nip it in the bud with Leeds, a team that was in the ascendancy. It was one step too far for them. But Brentford have great organization. Their midfield was superior to ours. And I don't know if I've seen a number 9 play the role the way Igor Thiago did last night. Old school, bruiser. Our defense had to work so hard. By the end of it, they were exhausted. So I walk away from this thinking we played a really good team in London and we gained a point and we didn't lose. And we're still 4 points clear. So that's where I sit this morning.
Okay, interesting. I'll come in after judges. How are you feeling, Lee? Because I see you're nonchalant and everyone's been clipping you up, laughing at you, ranting and raving as they always do. But what's your thoughts today, brother?
Do you know what? Frustration more than anything. Listen, I was really looking forward to the game. Chest out, I think we are the best team in the league. I don't care what anybody says. I still think we'll win the league because we're the best team. But there is that thing about mentality, and that performance yesterday echoed, I think, a lot of worries in every Arsenal fan, because they see the flaws that have happened in the past. I see it. Tom's right in what he said there. So the first minute, Gabriel kicking the ball out for the corner. You don't do that. You know what I mean? That sets tone. It weren't the only one that done it. Then we missed about 5 or 6 passes. That first 20 minutes, by the way, and Mikel's gone on and said it, is shocking. What worries me about it, and I hear people in the chat and see them in the chat, we ain't got on to Arteta yet, I think sometimes, is it down to the manager to give them a rollicking at half time, and not for the first time, for them to get their act together? Because we were waiting for half time for something to happen because the players weren't going to do it. They were shocking. It's absolutely shocking first half, and I don't care what anybody says. He's not setting them up to be like that shocking. I think at half time, the change was good. I thought Odegaard come on and made a difference until the goal. Then I'll get on to Odegaard in a minute. Why I'm disappointed with him. And mistakes were made in the second half. And I tell you, I got no problem and I said it on the live, so I'm not saying it's after the Lord Mayor show or after the horse has bolted or whatever. When it was 0-0, he's bringing on Saka. I'm thinking, yes, he's got to do it. He's got to take the gamble. He's got to make the gamble. It's going to be Saka for Madueke, who was absolutely horrendous on the day. And then he pops up and scores a goal. And the next thing that Mikel should have done to Saka was go, get your water bottles, put them under your legs, put your clothes on. You are not coming on in this game now. And I, for life of me, don't know why he come on. Because this is a team that's, and let's not beat around the bush. I don't care what anybody says about it. This is a team that's free kicks and throw-ons are deadly, and they use the long ball to their strengths. And what's wrong with that? And I'll tell you what, it was entertaining. We needed bigger players on there. No Marino, no Havertz. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why you're looking to bring on Saka to defend a 1-0 win. You know what I mean? Take the 1-0 and get out of there. That was his mistake. I did the desperation to bring on somebody like Saka, who, by the way, was nowhere near fit enough for that. I don't know why he done that. But that insane. That was the only mistake he done. But at half time, those players come out different. And that was because they've been obviously given a rollicking. But they've got to start saying to themselves, look, bring this pressure. You're 6 points clear. I'll tell you what will be pressure if we drop points against Wolves or Tottenham and we're 1 point. Then the pressure's on. But at the moment, we should be going like, the pressure should be all on the other teams. And I get it, like, that ain't true because you look at that game yesterday. Was it a better point for Brentford or a better point for us? It's a better point for them because, in the context of whatever, like, Wolves, if they got a point against us on next Wednesday, that's a fantastic point for them. Like, I ain't going to do nothing to them, but it's a boosting point. For us, it's disaster. But I looked at that performance and I just thought I wanted more from Arsenal. I went away. I was nervous going to Leeds, and that performance gave me all the confidence that I needed to say, you know what, we're the best team. Me and Tom were in a pub the other day, and we both said, like, Arsenal are a good side. Yes, they are. And they proved it against Leeds, and they proved it against Sunderland with a good performance. Go and prove it against Brentford. Now, the thing where I get a little bit worried about is that it was a must-win for Manchester City against Liverpool, and it's a tougher win than Brentford. They got the job done. Hook or by crook, they got the job done. Whether you think it was great or not, they got it done. It was up to us, right? They've, like in a game of tennis, they've put a good shot in, return it with venom. And that was to go to Brentford yesterday and do exactly what they'd done to Fulham or to Liverpool. Bang, bang. And do you know what? It nearly happened right at the end there, because you're telling me that Manchester City deserved to beat Liverpool the other day? Not really. Did we deserve to win that game yesterday? No, not really. But if we'd have got that winner when we should have done, well, yeah, I'm not saying should have done. I've looked back on it. I done me nut at the time, but it's a great save. And I think at the end of the day, I'm looking at Timber. Timber's through, and it's a bad touch that means him paying at Martinelli. But you have to say, I look at players like Declan Rice, outstanding he's been for us. But when it mattered, what is he doing passing the ball when he's 8 yards out? You know what I mean? Like that, what was he doing? Would he have done that 6 weeks ago? That's when I start to worry. Don't get me wrong. There was bits after that he kept us in the game with that tackle and everything there. But we should have been 2-0 up. And it was a different game then, And you look at it against Sunderland. Last minute, Gabriel diving in for an header that he don't win, you know what I mean? And then to yesterday, there's no need for him to come and make that header, you know what I mean? Mascara's in that position. Now, listen, I've got not a problem with him. If he goes there and he wins that header, then that's it. But I've had everybody in blaming Odegaard for it. Yes, but who's lost the header? You know, who's been rash all game in that game? I couldn't believe how rash Gabriel was in that game. Why? Is it nerves? And that's what worries me and all that. And for Odegaard, I thought Odegaard done really well. The biggest problem I've got with Odegaard is that he should have come off when he got that injury, because he's obviously come on, right? I guarantee he won't play for about 3 weeks after this, right? And I don't think he should have done that. The team comes first here. I'm not right. Get someone on that can run around and do that, because he'd done absolutely nothing after that game. After that incident. Not a single thing. Before that, he was dictating the play. Lovely move down the left-hand side. And that weren't a great shot at the end of it. But we was playing. As soon as we conceded the goal, I'll be honest. Get the F out of there with a point. Because we weren't winning that game. You know what I mean? We could have won it at the end. We could have lost it and everything like that. So, listen, from my point of view, it's a point gained. But the performance, I would have, if we'd have played really well and lost to a last-minute goal or something like that, I would take a bit, that can happen. But that first half performance and the way we played under a little bit of pressure don't bode well, Dan. That's in my opinion. It's not the end of the world. But listen, I've heard stupid comments. So I've got to say this from Arsenal fans, and please don't wind me up on this. I'd rather be in Manchester City's position. Can we be logical about that? They're 4 points behind us. You've got to embrace where we are. I don't want to be chasing and then winning games and everything like that. You know what I mean? The thing is now we just got to dust ourselves down, get ready for Wolves. Forget about Saturday. I'm not even worried about Sunday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever happens on Sunday happens. All I'm interested in is 12 league games. Win 10 of them and you've won the league, right? That is it now. Just focus on that. Get the job done against Wolves, right? And then we see what happens against Spurs.
And also, Lee, everyone's assuming by that logic that City will win all their games.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know what I mean? To win
Which they
10
won't.
if they do, yeah. So this is what annoys me so. If they do win every single game, right, like they did a couple of seasons ago, how's that bottle in it? How is that bottle in it like? You know what I mean? Don't give it to them. Like, you know, if Arsenal go on and win. But the fact of the matter is, last time we played them, it wasn't in our hands until the game against Villa, and we crumbled, if you remember rightly. This time it's been in our hands for a while. It's still in our hands, and it's up to what. Doesn't matter what they do. If we win every game, that's also so. That's with us losing. You know, we can lose if we beat. Imagine if we beat City.
Exactly.
It goes down even more. Like, you know what I mean? You know, and that game there, we got to go to the Etihad in the position that we are in now, like where they've got to win that game. And if they do win, it ain't the end of the world.
The other thing too, Lee, is like I'm seeing a lot of people saying, you know, City are based on this evidence, you know, City can win all their games. But hold on a second. People are saying that this isn't the same City as it was in like that 23-24 season. So it's this whole, I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a bar brawl with some Arsenal fans because they wouldn't have your back, right? What are we doing here? We're actually giving ammunition to rival fans, the media, pundits, whoever. We load the gun and they happily fire. I get it. We've been here before, right? They're taking the piss out of us. They're calling us bottlers. I find it pathetic. Which other club has done what we've done in the last 4 years? Trying to stop a juggernaut of a team in Manchester City who have not ethically done things the right way. You got United fans and Liverpool fans who are praying City win the title. Who have people become? What's happening here? Why would you want your rival to win the title in United fans? I just don't understand it.
Everyone hates us, bro. It's like
everyone hates us, Dan. And you know what? We do it to ourselves.
I've got a theory on that, Sophie, right? I think that is to cover up their own club's
100%.
Because if Arsenal win the league, right, say if Man City win the league, everybody turns around and goes, we haven't got the financial clout of them, or we haven't got the financial clout of Chelsea. If a Liverpool wins the league or an Arsenal wins the league, it's like, well, we can do what they do. Like Arsenal have not gone about spending like over the odds money and on that. Arsenal have built and got there. Liverpool have done the same. So I always think that, all right, it's easier. Because do you know what? I've been in that position as well. Who do you want to win? I'd rather them win it than it doesn't show us, our deficiencies as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you are
What does
right.
it say about
You are
your
right.
club if City and Liverpool win, it's comfortable for everybody, right? It's just the way it is. But if Arsenal win it, what does that say about the other clubs? The difference for us is that we will get all of this crap all the time and have no respect until we win the Premier League title. It's not even about the Champions League. I mean, I desperately want to win the Premier League this season to get the monkey off our back. Just get the monkey off our back. I will take boring, awful performances like yesterday. And you can come at me. I don't care. Give me points. Points make prizes. 3 points. That's it. That's all that matters. You can focus on champagne football next season. For now, bring me the title and get the monkey off your back. And then watch this Arsenal flourish. What's standing in the way of us and history, new history, is fear. Fear in the players, fear in the fans. And I actually think the most fearless person of all, and this is going to get me hit big time here, is Mikel Arteta. And this is coming from someone who was not a Mikel Arteta fan for a while. To me, it feels like he's the most fearless one of all. And sometimes when you're a leader, whether it's business or sports, and you try to drag a team over the line, the manager can only do so much, right? And when people talk about we play rubbish football, did we play rubbish football against Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid? Because in Europe, there's no pressure, none. And we play excellent, entertaining football. We're great to watch. But in the Premier League, we feel the fear. And I do believe Mikel's trying to extract that out of them. But there's only so much he can do, Dan.
What do you, just let me come back on you on that, Soph. What do you mean by the most fearless person at the club is Arteta? Because I've not seen any evidence that he's become less fearful, if I'm honest.
I wish that he was as fearless in his subs as he is in his aura overall. And, I haven't spent much time around Mikel Arteta. I've had the opportunity to interview him a few times when he's been in the States, in a presser. Tom's there all the time. He does have he has an aura about him. Like there are certain people, LA Rams coach and Mikel Arteta, when I stood next to both of them, they both have a fearless aura, right? That's the Kroenkes hiring guys they identify that have a certain personality. And with Mikel, where he stumbles is because he knows the players, the decisions he makes sometimes on the subs, like bringing Saka on. That's the part that he needs to get over. Trust Norgard to come on and finish the game for you. Don't think you have to use Saka. That's where he needs to bridge the gap. But overall, I don't think there's anyone at the club or anyone in Arsenal community worldwide that wants to win the league more than him. Because at the end of the day, it's his job on the line. So he's the one that feels the most pain outside of Arsenal fans. That's what I think about Mikel. There's the margins in winning are so fine, Dan and guys, right? Look over history in sports, fine margins. And the more technology, the more people become smarter, the better players become, it's harder to win. And
I think for me, like, look, there's kind of two conversations to be had here, which I want to move it to before we close, right? There's two conversations. The one is how we handle pressure, and the other one is our attack. And I think there's concerns for both. I think there's pluses for both as well, but I think there's also concerns. Now, the reason that I have concerns is because I've seen this season Arsenal go into situations and come through it when there was an element of pressure. I've seen us go to the Carabao Cup final this season. I've seen us go to the San Siro and put in an unbelievable performance against, let's be honest, a team that are excellent, got to the Champions League final last season. I've seen us smash by Munich and Atletico Madrid. I've seen us smash our North London rivals. I've seen some excellent sides. We've battered 9 goals past Leeds in 2 games. We've been excellent in those games. Then I look at some of the other side of it and I think, okay, well, can you handle the pressure when the pressure is on them? Because at the Stadium of Light, I thought we were going to hang on. At Villa Park, I thought we could have made a statement. When we went to Forest and Liverpool at home, a bad Liverpool, by the way, and could have won to get us 8, maybe even 9 points clear of our rivals, we weren't able to do it and score a goal. We weren't even able to have a shot on target in either of those games. That was really bad. And then I look at the pressure against Brentford and also against Manchester United. manager bounce, difficult place to go, hostility last night, and we weren't quite able to get across the line. And as much as I agree with Soph about the fine margins, I do see a little bit of 1-0 up against Brentford, shit yourself. 1-0 up against Man United, shit yourself. And unfortunately, I don't see why we're
Whose fault
doing
is that, Dan?
A collect. I think the manager and the players, I think the mentality of the players. I've not seen this team and manager get across the line yet and win anything, Soph, and I think that's showing. I don't think Arsenal go to Anfield 9 minutes away from being 1-0 down and win that 2-1. I think we lose the game 1-0. And I'm not saying that's why Man City will win the league, because I still think Arsenal can win this league. But I look at the mentality and I think Bernardo Silva and Rodri have been pretty poor most of the season. All of a sudden, they turn into the treble winners, Bernardo Silva and Rodri, against Liverpool at Anfield, because they've got the mentality of the know-how of how to get across the line. And I'm not sure that Arsenal have got that. And I look at the
they've not
attack.
done it before. Like Mikel's done it. But Mikel's done it through the eyes of Pep as his assistant. So when people say he doesn't know, that's not true. He may not have been the head coach. It's not his plan, but he's been part of something. When you're part of something and you have a hand in it, you know what it feels like and it tastes like. He's trying to transmit that to Arsenal. And maybe sometimes, Dan, you outgrow players. Maybe Odegaard isn't the guy anymore that can take you over the line. Maybe Saka isn't the same player coming back from injury. Look what's happened to Havertz. So he's trying to transmit something he's learned and bring it to Arsenal. And players have to be able to drag. I used to argue with Kevin about this all the time. And I learned many lessons about blaming the manager for everything. Where are these players? On paper, we have a talented team. Where are they?
No, it is a collect.
If your boss, Dan,
even
if your boss tells you, right, you're going to go out and do a presentation and you've got it signed off by the company. You get up on stage and they've specifically told you, do not speak about this product yet. Don't say it. You can't. And you want to get people excited. You see that things aren't going well, and maybe you take a gamble and you say it out loud. It's not what your boss wanted you to do, but you did it anyway. How much audible is there in the way Arsenal play? Everyone raved about Declan Rice and Saka changing Nikola Jova's wishes for the Real Madrid free kick. Don't tell me they can't do things out there on the pitch. At what point are people going to point the finger at the players and say, when will you show up the same way you do in the Champions League mentally? It's got nothing to do with football. It's all to do up here. We're mentally impotent still.
I think the mentality of the club has definitely had a question mark across it for the last few years, because whenever there has been a go do it, we haven't quite been able to. And people have blamed the players before and said the squad isn't good enough. People have blamed the manager before and said he doesn't know how to win. And maybe both of those things are true. But I looked at it yesterday, and we'll come to the pressure thing again in a minute. But for me, some of these individuals do need calling out. I've got to be honest with you. Eze and Odegaard are trying to do an audition for who can be the worst at the moment. It's got to be said. I think they've both been absolutely shambolic in the last few games. Tom said earlier that Eze hasn't got a goal or assist in 15 games. We've signed this geezer for £70 million. He's supposed to be this Alexis Sanchez get us across the line signing. He was never going to be that. He was always going to be a contributor for me. He was always going to be a player that came in when Odegaard or whoever it was injured. He's come in and he's just let everyone down, in my opinion. I don't think he's been great. I don't think he's been good enough. I've got to call it out. Odegaard, I'm sorry, I know he gets a lot of stick, but he deserves some of these performances are shambolic. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, him marking that guy at the end, it was just embarrassing watching him trying to cry an injury and all this. Just get up and get on with the game, man. You're supposed to be our captain, our leader. You've not been good enough. Let's say how it is. You haven't been good enough. Our second top scorer is Zubamendi. Come on, man. What's happened to these attacks? I look at the defense, right? Jordan made a great point. I was listening earlier to him. He said, what's happening with our attack? Why is Gabriel, Timber, and they were poor last night, by the way, Gabriel and Timber, but they've got credit in the bank alongside our other defenders. Could they just look up and go, yo, boys, up there, any chance of you helping us out here? Because we're trying to do our job, and we've actually been pretty consistent, having 20 clean sheets in 38 games. Any chance you can score a couple of goals for us and make it easier for us? And I totally agree. Not good enough up top. And it's a collect. It ain't one or two players. People are getting on Saka's back. He's had a terrible season. The guy's come back from a horrific injury. Let's look at some of the others. I mean, Madueke scored last night, and it was great to see that he'd scored last night, right? Fair play. I thought it was a very good header, by the way. But Madueke is the sort of guy that gets a Christmas present, unwraps it, and then wraps it up again to unwrap it again. This guy beats the player, wants to beat him again and again and again. Just you beat him, cross it, get the output, man. I'm sick of it.
At least he's trying, Dan. At least he puts himself out there to look like a fool when everyone else is hiding behind the ball.
Go on, explain who. Go on.
Madueke.
No. Explain who's hiding behind the ball. Which ones?
Eza is a bust so far. I don't care that he scored a hat-trick in the North London derby. Those love coupons expired a long time ago. Just like Mikel's love coupons have expired when it comes to winning that FA Cup. Put it in the rearview mirror, right? And I'm not here to defend Mikel. I'm just trying to give a different perspective because there's a lot of chaos and a narrative around Arsenal, and it's so overwhelming sometimes, and it's nonsense, a lot of it. But Odegaard has gone hiding. I said something on the show last night, and I didn't mean it to come out and sound in a way, but this is a World Cup year. Martin Odegaard's been injured a lot. He's the captain of Norway. Norway do not get to the World Cup often. Is he protecting himself a little bit? I might be, if I had a chance to captain my country in a World Cup, and I've been through a lot. I don't know. He's hiding. It's easier to tell you who's not. Big Gabby doesn't hide. Timber doesn't hide. Calafiori, when he comes on, is willing to be a hot mess and try, doesn't hide. But we've got players who hide, and they're too important. Eza and Odegaard in those positions in particular are letting the team down, which is why Havertz looked like a megastar when he came on.
Odegaard didn't hide yesterday. He come on and changed the game for us.
For 10 minutes, Lee.
Yeah, then he's got injured. He's got injured. And
let's give him a round of applause for his 10 minutes of wonder. Well done, Marty.
You've got listen. It's a brave. You talk about the manager. I didn't think he was going to make any changes at half time. It's brave of the manager to come and do that. And listen, we was struggling. He come on. He got not just him. His pressing was better. We pressed better. We gets the goal, and then he let us down for the goal. You know, I mean, he's got to hold his hands up to that. Weak. I have to say that, you know what I mean. I'm not making excuses
for mistakes like that, though, Lee.
That's weak.
Is he going to bench him for that mistake?
I've heard today that he's a vegan. Someone's told me that he's a vegan. Well, if he's a vegan, he can vegan off then, because I don't want none of that.
This has been a rumor for a long time that he's not a meat eater.
Well, there's something different in him, isn't there? You know what I mean?
He's not getting any meat inside him, is he?
I'm going to find out where he lives, and I'm going to drag him by his ear.
And take Harry Suvla.
Give him 4 Big Macs and let him bloody enjoy them, Martin. Bloody enjoy them.
Get Harry to make him some
cheese on top.
Oh, look, let me ask Tom and Simon about the attack, because Tom, me and you spoke about it today, and I think there's some worrying signs, bruv. So,
I can't follow that. You can't expect to follow that.
Let's take this away from the vegan stuff. Let's keep it on to the attack. Tom, what are you saying?
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because, you know, Arsenal spent 170 million quid on 3 attackers, and we're not seeing that return, you know, this season. Overall, it's not just them 3, it's everybody. It's the existing players as well, you know, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli. The only player I think that can actually hold his head up a bit higher is Leo at the moment. You know, I think Leo's had a good season, and he frustrates me sometimes, but he's no doubt been, for me, probably our best attacker. But yeah, I crunching some of those numbers this season it's scary. I mean, two seasons ago, 23-24, by 26 games, 79% of our goals have been scored by our forwards or attacking midfielders. This season, only 58% have been scored by our attackers or our attacking midfielders. So that's a significant drop, and it means that we're relying on goals from Zubimendi or Rice or the defenders from set pieces, and that doesn't bode well. And I think that's because of the way that we're playing. You know, it's because obviously we're playing this industrious style that is just basically about getting the points no matter how, no matter which way. As long as you get the points, that's all that matters. And some games we crack teams open with a set piece, and like we did against Leeds, and we can go and run right a bit, or, you know, again, ironically, Leeds earlier on in the season as well. But it's a concern right now. And if Arsenal don't win the league this season, it will be because of the fact that our attack wasn't efficient enough overall. Because you can't point the fingers at the defensive midfielders or the defenders this season. They've been excellent. You know, they're the reason why we have a foundation to get any points in any games, because they're putting in a huge shift. But the other end of the pitch, we're not being efficient enough. And we're not getting a return on what we've got with the vast, more superior depth to any other team in the league. And I think there's definitely theory in that. You could argue that the volume of players we've now got, the number of players that we've had, and the rotation and the changes mean that these players have got to learn new partnerships, learn new relationships, that understand one another differently. You know, I think only recently have we started to understand how Victor Gyökeres really works in the last month to get the most from him. And as soon as the player that seemed to work him out, Kai, gets injured straight away, he's off, and all of a sudden that connection's broken. And he and Eza just looked like complete strangers on the pitch yesterday. So, yeah, look, it's definitely a worry. But I'm with Sophie in what she said about I frankly don't care how we win the league as long as we win the league this season. This season is not about how Arsenal win the league.
Of course.
At all, in any way, shape or form. It's not about how Arsenal do it. I couldn't care less as long as we do it.
Tom,
yes,
have you heard anything about Havertz and what's gone on there? Because I'm gonna say this. I'm slightly peeved with this. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing in the press conference that he's injured and all that. Like, and then it gets some journalist releases it like 6 hours later. Why are they getting the info? And why is our manager not giving the info? Like, and I'm Havertz is, I think, the key to us winning this league, because he seems to be we play a little bit different. It's not like a number 10. It's more of a striker off of Gyökeres, which I think looked like it was going to work. We haven't got no one like Havertz to do that, So I think Havertz yesterday was a massive miss, boys and girls. Sorry.
Just on that, like,
it's all right. I'm being called all sorts in chat, so I'll be a boy, I'll be a girl, I'll be a mix, a hybrid.
Ignore the chat, man.
I'll be like Havertz. I could play midfield. I could play on the left, up top.
So
ignore the hate in the chat. I shouldn't say ignore the chat, because most
click
of
the private chat, Sophie. It's a nicer experience. Because I just leave it. I let the numbers click up. They just let them shout into the ether. Look, with Havertz, like, we obviously it's frustrating for me. We ask about team news. He doesn't give you anything. He gives you very, very little. And I think he was asked by TNT on the game yesterday about Kai. He gave a little bit of an insight into Kai. He says it's going to be weeks. The David Ornstein put it out, before the game. It's 3 to 4 weeks. I think that was on Wednesday night that came out. Look, I mean, it's a classic long knee injury. Player comes back after that long rehabilitation. They play. And then your body reacts to that period where you're playing and has a muscular reaction. And that's what's happened. It happens all the time with players who have really long knee injuries. Jesus has had it, a number of times. I think Martin had it when he came back from his knee injury. Then Ben White's obviously has suffered a number of muscular injuries since that knee surgery procedure that he had. It's very common that players have a muscular issue straight after kind of just coming back for a few weeks from a big, long kind of period off the pitch. So, yeah, it sucks because he was really looking to build some form, Kai, and hopefully he's back for the end of this month and maybe start of next month and be on there for the later stages of the Champions League and the running.
Tom, I broke up a bit. My Wi-Fi was dodgy. I don't know if you mentioned what you mentioned to me earlier in terms of your tweet, which I thought was really interesting in terms of the attack.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yes, I did. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. The 58% now scored by attackers is low. 79% 2 seasons ago. And 58% now is low. So, yeah.
No, it's a worry.
Do you want that stat about Gyökeres quick? About that?
Go on.
Yeah. So if you want a bit of an idea about kind of how the 170 million quid and what we've spent, is that the 3 signings that we've made, those 3 forwards, Madueke, Gyökeres and Eza, they've scored 14 league goals this season. So it means that they've scored 1 goal between them every 217 minutes. 2 seasons ago in 22-23, Eddie Nketiah, Smith Rowe and Vieira, by the same point, had 9 goals in 26 games, but in less minutes, meaning that they were returning a goal every 167 minutes. So it shows you kind of the return of those 3 at the moment is just not what we need.
Not where we want. Like, it's not where we want. And, I don't know if it's a system thing, if it's a manager thing, if it's an individual quality thing. I kind of think it's maybe a little bit of all 3, because these players are decent. Like, let's just say it how it is. You know, Eze was one of Palace's best players. Odegaard in 2020-23 got 15 goals. Saka, likewise. Martinelli, likewise, that season. You've got Trossard, who was brilliant at Brighton. Gyökeres got 97 goals in 2 games. Gabriel Jesus was a Centurion. And Kai Havertz got, I think, 15 goals for us when he was fit for us this season. So they're all decent players that can find the net. But for whatever reason, all of them as a collect at the moment aren't really putting in the numbers that I believe that we need for a return. I mean, Victor Gyökeres got 8 Premier League goals. Martin Zubimendi and Trossard have got 5 each. Rice and Saka, Marino and Eze have all got 4. And then everyone else is pretty much a defender with lower. So I don't know. Something's not quite right in there. I know people think we're great going forward and we are good in attack and we're scoring goals still. All that. They are not great returns though, are they?
No, it's not enough. It's not enough. I am of the belief that, especially in this day and age, you need one person that's going to carry not the majority of your goal threat. You don't have to rely on them constantly, but they should be someone that's popping up most games. And I think a lot of us thought that was going to be Gyökeres. It didn't happen for many reasons. I think Gyökeres does a lot off the ball. Like when I've seen Arsenal at the Emirates this year, and it didn't really work against Brentford yesterday, but it felt like to me, he's such a bully and he likes to sort of get himself around, that when we came up against teams that were just going to sort of play the low block, he would be the guy to get over those results we had last season, the season before that. And he still does do that, maybe not as effectively as possible. I actually think what it comes down to is what seems to have become the theme of this chat. It is a mentality thing. It's a pressure thing. Whether they should have it or they shouldn't, I feel like they do. And I don't know how much they let the outside world get in, but as sounds somewhat ridiculous, I always like to take a step back sometimes. They are human beings, right? And sometimes when I've got into a situation I'm not used to, I cave. You know what I mean? And I'm not at my best. Now, it's completely different when you're being paid a certain amount of money and you're sort of getting the social media traction or just the overall public attention that you are. It's not something that you're doing at your own time. But it's even things like, I mean, you mentioned the set pieces earlier. I'll never understand that critique from people. Oh, they're set piece FC. What do you want us to do with the set piece? Just boot it over the bar. Just be like, oh yeah, we don't want to score. I really hope those things aren't trickling in when you start. I'm not saying they're overplaying. I don't say anything like that. But sometimes I think to get the mentality of we're a winning team, you have to win the league. You have to win a Champions League. That's why I'm really happy we got to the League Cup final. I actually think if we win that, even though it wouldn't be a big enough a trophy, that's the only one we won to satisfy probably 95% of the fan base. I just think going from the start of a competition to the end of the competition and then having a trophy and having that moment will teach a lot of these players that's how you do it. And I honestly believe, again, I can't remember who mentioned the City-Liverpool game. I think it was you, Lee. It's exactly what City did. They used all of their experience and know-how and knowledge to go, how do we get over the line, even though we're quite aware we're not playing in the way that we want to right now? Well, we did it last year and the year before. Well, not last year, but the year before that for the 4 years they won it in a row. I just think that's what's missing from this Arsenal team. Now, that, unfortunately, is like when you go for a job and they say, we can't give you this job. You haven't got enough experience. And you're like, well, how am I going to get the experience if you're not going to give me a job? Which is why I go back to what Tom said as well. Just win football games and just win this league. I don't care if people want to come and say, Arsenal, you're a terrible team, you're awful. If the other teams in the league would have been better, they would have been you. I don't care. Let me show you this wonderful trophy that we now have for the first time in 20 plus years. And that's probably why I think it is more important than the Champions League. We have to win a Champions League eventually. We talked about this before, Dan. Otherwise we get, well, you can't sit at the top table if you haven't won a Champions League. So that needs to go away as well. But everyone always says the league is the bread and butter. So that's what it comes down to me. They are good players. You've just proved. We know that Eze is good. He's only shown it really sadly, really in one big game, and then he tailed off. Funny enough, we talked about that. It's the last time I did your show. Yeah. Soon after that, and I was wrong. I was like, you watch, bro. He's gonna fly, and you absolutely called what was going to happen. But that doesn't mean that they can't refine themselves. And I think that's what they need to do. That's why I think this FA Cup weekend may be a blessing in disguise, because once again, the FA Cup means nothing to Arsenal. I don't mean that in a bad way. I love the FA Cup. But if they just won the FA Cup and got to the end of the season, they fall off the league, no headline is going to say Arsenal win FA Cup. It will say Arsenal. I hate the term bottle. I think I wouldn't say any team bottles it. I think the Premier League is a super hard thing to win. And games at the end of the season are just important games at the start of the season. It's like when someone scores the 92nd minute, lucky. No, it's not. That was part of the official time that we had to win or lose this game. So that's what I think they need to do. But that's not an easy thing to do. It's really, really not. And I understand that people are going to throw pelters in. But you are right. I think the standard of the player isn't where it needs to be. mostly because they're probably sitting around putting extra pressure on themselves where there's no need. I definitely agree with what Lee said earlier. When you're 6 points clear, I think you should focus on that and not the other way around.
Just real quick, Simon, on the player thing. Man City have been given a lift with Semenyo and Gahey. That has given them a major lift. On the show the other day, we did a SWOT analysis. I like to do them 4 times in the season. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Your threats in a SWOT analysis come outside of what you can control. And Manchester City's January moves, a little bit like our Trossard January move maybe, but those 2 signings, I know Gahey can't play in the League Cup final, but they've made and had an immediate impact. When you think about Semenyo's jump from his old club, from Bournemouth to City, he has not missed a beat. When you look at Ezza's jump from Crystal Palace to Arsenal, he looks burdened by the shirt. But those 2 signings are massive for Man City.
Oh, they've been huge. And, I was just in a show with LB, who's a City fan, for those of you who don't know, and he said exactly the same. He said, why didn't Arsenal do anything in January? He's like, you always waste the January window. He said, in 22-23, you were 8 points clear, and I was shitting myself as a City fan, thinking, oh, my God, they're going to go and buy Caicedo. And you ended up with Jorginho and Trossard and Kivior, and we just went, so Trossard's done all right, the other 2, not too sure. And then he said, he tried to win a Champions League with Mourinho up front, instead of going and buying a striker in January. He says, I just don't know why you do it. And I can't sit there and go, you are so, because he's right. He's absolutely bang on. I know it's not that, we're not going to, if we don't win the league this year, it won't be because we didn't do anything in January. But we are shorter now. We've let Ethan Nwaneri go. We've got Mourinho and Havertz that look like they're out for a few weeks, and potentially Mourinho out for the whole season. Obviously, we've got Ødegaard that's out of form and fitness. Saka don't look 100%. I wondered if we could have done something, but look, that's me maybe being greedy. We did bring in 8 players in the summer. But look, I don't know. I wanted to kind of close on this question, really. I'll come to you firstly, and then I'll bring it around to the guys. Everyone's asking whether Arsenal can handle the pressure this season, right? Whether it be winning trophy or trophies. What have you seen as evidence to say, yeah, we will? This is the season we will do it.
What you said. Semi-final last season, we blew out on every single one of them. This semi-final, we went through. There's a lot of pressure on that game against Chelsea because we should have been 4-1 up at Stamford Bridge. We didn't, and it was a tricky situation, that game. And a lot of people going, I thought we handled the pressure and the circumstances fantastically well in that game. Now, on yesterday, we didn't. But I tell you what, I'm going to take a positive from yesterday. I thought we handled the corners and situations that they threw at us very, very well yesterday. I didn't like us complaining about being pushed by the goalkeeper because we do that as well.
I couldn't believe that.
What they done to us, we do to other teams. But you know what? We got the job done in that department like they did against us. So I think there were some things to pick up on that. As bad as we played yesterday, Dan, we didn't lose. I believe that a couple of years ago, we'd have gone a goal down in that game and lost that game. I think if we're going to go down in that game yesterday, I don't think we were going to come back. So I do think that we've learned a few mistakes not mistakes, but I think we're learning a little bit on the job. I believe that, we're a better side now. We've got better players. When you're talking about Eddie Nketiahs and players like that, look at the players that we've got now, to back up what we've got. We've got good enough players. I think now it's the manager has got to come to the front now, and I think that he will. But I do believe that the likes of Saka, there's no excuses no more. I don't want no excuses that he's not this, he's not that. If he's not this and he's not fit and that, he does not play. But I think now, we've all said it, like Tom said it as well, we need the big gut, we need the strikers to perform. I think Trossard was magnificent against Sunderland, non-existent yesterday. They've got to perform. And one of the only other things that I will say, which is a little bit of a worry, is the injuries. I know what we're saying about Havertz and all that, but we need these guys back, and we need them back. Havertz is a big player for us in different roles that we have, and I think Mourinho as well is a big loss for us because He can play in 2 or 3 positions, not starting games, but coming on and winning headers and things like that, So unfortunately, he's not going to be there. But it's time now to sit down. I don't care. Eze, you're playing against Wigan. Go and prove yourself. I know it's only against, but go and prove yourself. Martinelli, 2 big chances. He's cost us 4 points. You've got somehow, from now to the end of the season, make up 4 points for us. You've got to win us 4 points. And so on. I do think that we're still good enough to win the league. I do think, that we will do. I think defensively yesterday there was some weaknesses there. But all in all, I've just seen a little bit like that semi-final. If we'd have lost that semi-final, I don't know. But that gave me confidence. I tell you what else gave me confidence. 2 performances this season. Away at Everton, when the pressure was on, when Manchester City were 1 point in front of us. We didn't play well, but we went and got the job done. And Leeds, we went and got the job done in those games there. So, listen.
I think Newcastle deserved a mention away.
That was another game, yeah.
The win, that was a big moment.
We got over the line there. So I do think that we've got to do it but we've got to be a little bit more brave. I know that what we're saying about, again, went 1-0 up yesterday, and I think we just sort of sat back a little bit. Even though the substitution from Arteta, even though I didn't agree with it, was a positive one by bringing on Saka. You know what I mean? If he'd have brought on, I don't know, say if he'd have brought on Ben White at right back and put Timber into wide right and we concede, we'd be all going, oh, what's he doing and all that. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. So I think just be a little bit more positive when we're 1-0 up. And I think that we was in that game, by the way. Declan Rice should have made that 2-0. I don't care what anybody says, and then it would have been a different game. But listen, we're still.
Lee, can I ask you and Dan? I'll ask you guys a really quick question before we go, because it's something that I've been thinking about. Right, so this fearless, fearful thing I was talking about. The Mikel Arteta of 22, 23, 23, 24 was fearless, right? So I just wanted to circle back, because do you think the fear comes from our players thinking, we've lost Havertz? It feels like maybe our players are the ones that can't handle certain players getting injured, because the impact they have. So when you're in the dressing room, if you've got no Havertz or you've got no Saka, do you feel that maybe our players can't handle losing teammates they know will take us over the edge? And then that's when things trickle down.
Right. Great point. But in dressing rooms when your best players are missing, it does, you know what I mean? Like you turn up and your best player, your centre forward's not there. It does have an impact. But then I have a look at it and go, someone else step up. And we've got good enough players.
We got this far without Havertz, did we not?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think that Havertz is out of the hell. Can we win any games now? I don't think he's that important. I think he's a good player, squad player. But really and truly, we bought players on top of Havertz so that we didn't have to just rely on Havertz. So I don't think we can have it. I get what you're saying. So if the players might think of it differently, and they might be in the dressing room like, oh, that's such a blow, we've missed him. Dare I say it, they might say that about Mourinho, who I think has been actually very good this season in terms of bringing in games. And the back end of last season, I think Mourinho, without him, I don't know where we would have been, if I'm honest.
But Dan, I think Havertz came across as our January signing. Like, he had the Semenyo impact, even though he's been there for years. We're talking about immediate impact coming on. That's why I think maybe he's the trump. You need a trump card, Sheringham, Solskjaer, right? Towards the end of the season. Who's going to be the trump card for Arsenal? That's Mikel, that's the fear. That's the part that he needs to figure out. Who's my trump card? What can because a lot of the times he subs, it's like for like. This is where I feel that there's something in the middle that isn't coming across between what he really wants and what he trusts to happen out there and who he trusts to do it when it comes to these big moments. But he needs to figure out who his trump card is. And it could be maybe Saka should play on the left. I'm just saying, maybe Madueke should be on the right. Something, he needs to come up with a formula, something different that's going to surprise or have an element of surprise when he needs to.
I'm not sure. A great point about a trump card. I don't know. I don't know if we've got a trump card, but we need to find one, in my opinion. But Tom, let me come to you then, say about this question, because we've got 4 massive games, really. Let's say how it is in the Premier League, and all 3 of them are away, and the one that's at home is Chelsea. Wolves, we go 7 points clear if we win. Spurs, North London derby. Igor Tudor, not going to say anything because we played him soon, but he's now the interim manager at Tottenham. And we've obviously got Chelsea and Brighton, which I think is going to be very difficult. Brighton away, I know they're a mess at the moment, but that's always been a tough ground to go to and pick up 3 points, in my opinion. I think we've got to win all 4 of them. I know people might think that's extreme, and I'm not saying we lose the league if we don't win all 4 of them. But to keep the pressure on, I fancy Man City in their coming up fixtures. I don't think they've got I think they've got Burnley, West Ham, and Forest in the next 5 or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's going to be very easy for them to go on a run on paper. Now, I know football's not played on paper, but do you think that Arsenal will show that they've got the mentality, or do you think the pressure might get to us in the next coming weeks, bro?
Well, we've kind of talked through some of those examples there, didn't we? About examples like Leeds brought up the semi-final. You brought up the Newcastle game. We've gone to Leeds in a moment after United, where we lost and we put 4 past them away from home. So there are examples where this team, have stepped up certainly and done the business. I'm still like caught between this. Was yesterday a good point? Was yesterday a disaster? And I'm still caught between the two, if I'm very honest. And I don't think we'll know the answer to that until the end of the season. If we win the season by a point, I'll know what my answer was to that question. But with these 4 games that are coming up, Wolves away, have to win that game. There's no excuses. Spurs away. Spurs away for any team is like a home game these days, because their home record is so deplorable that there is no excuse. And ironically saying that, City managed to blow a 2-goal lead, which to be fair, I know there's all the City got that win at Liverpool and they've just beat Fulham, who I think Fulham's record there isn't great. But we're talking about a City side that are chasing us that did just over a week ago blow a 2-goal lead against that Tottenham team. So we're not, that is also a factor in all this. They're not the City of previous seasons. I think that, I just think this team needs to give the fans something in these next few games. I just think it needs to give them that. And I wanted to see that last night. That was what I think the most disappointing thing was that I wanted to see us go to a side like Brentford, who are a very good side, going to cause you a lot of problems, and just go for it. And as I said, as we have done in so many games this season, we just gave up a half of football entirely. There's just nothing there really for Arsenal in that first half. And I want to see in that first half against Wolves, because Wigan at this weekend, the FA Cup's really weird for me this season, because we're in a cup final, we've got this Premier League title on the line, Champions League. I feel that we're in a really good place for the Champions League this season as well, and how the competition's shaping up for us. We can, in my opinion, you're playing the 22nd. I think they're 22nd in League One. You should be swapping every single first team player out for that game and winning comfortably. There's no excuses there. So every single player needs to be. Every single player that's going to start on Wednesday should not be starting on Sunday against Wigan. Categorically not. And we just need to go through these games and give people, that belief, and they need to give themselves that belief by playing with purpose and with real belief and measure that they can go on and do that. And I saw that against Sunderland, and I saw that against Leeds, but it evaporated yesterday, and that's a big worry for me.
So what happens between him choosing the team, training, having a great week, and then going into a game, you guys? Where he's G'd them up, they've G'd each other up, and then you get on the pitch and...
Football's a game of 2 teams, and at the end of the day, when we're talking about the mentality of this team, I think Brett, it was that press conference, I don't know if you saw it the other couple of weeks ago, where it was Ollie Holt used the Mike Tyson quote, and it didn't land very well. He said, everyone thinks they got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and that was a bit like that is a bit of this kind of Arsenal team. There are games where he does G him up, so in every game they'll have a plan. Brentford just knocked the stuffing out of Arsenal, I felt like, and they just never really recovered. I know they scored, and it was kind of a goal out of nothing. It wasn't like a really well-worked goal. It was a good cross, great, unlikely header from Madueke. But, yeah, there is very much, I feel this team can be got at still, and teams can shock you. Sunderland away is another good example of when that happened. So
Isn't it crazy, though, that they can't make one simple pass yesterday to Gyökeres? Like not one simple pass. And I don't want to get into a Gyökeres debate or conversation, but it's just the simple things that they're not doing. Like Declan is bombing it in the middle of the pitch and Gyökeres is making a run through the central defenders and he passes it left.
There's no debate about Gyökeres from yesterday.
Decision making.
Gyökeres was isolated. He had no service. Like we've done the service debate before. Yesterday was not a day for the service debate because there is no debate there. There was nothing to him. He didn't get the only pass he did get, which is I agree with Lee. I think Rice probably should have taken the shot on.
Yeah,
he played that ball in. He sold him a bit short with that pass. But look, I was so glad to have Kai back for obvious reasons. But I think the most exciting thing about Kai back was his influence on Victor. That looked like a partnership, and he's not out for a long term. So hopefully he'll be in for the upcoming kind of months to go. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
No, it's very interesting for sure. Sire, let me ask you very quickly because there is pressure. There's always pressure in title races. Do you feel over the next 4 games Arsenal will handle that pressure and show them what they're about? Or do you have fear that we might drop in the next couple against the likes of Brighton and, dare I say it, Chelsea or Spurs?
No, I believe it. I mean, I always go into everything positive because I think that's half the fun of being a fan. I think you should support your team. But I also look at it from a logistical point of view. If we don't deserve to be champions, right? Doesn't mean that we won't end up winning the league because football's a funny old game. And we already mentioned that Man City, that Tottenham result, I was really surprised. So I don't think that would have happened. Actually, they always go to that stadium and somehow screw it up. So maybe it would have happened in previous seasons. But I think that's, you really do have to get to the end of a season and look back at sort of individual results to say, where did it go right? Where did it go wrong? And yeah, right now, again, I always look at it, it's a bit like it's like a pick your own adventure book. And at the moment, where Arteta is, okay, the Brentford result didn't go well compared to the other results that we had. So now over the next 4, you want to walk away with 9 points minimum, right? And even then, that could leave you with 1 point in it and stuff. But that's just what we have to do. And I think that's what champions are made of. That sounds silly and over the top. But in so many other past seasons where Liverpool won the league or City won the league, they've come out with either results or performances when you didn't expect it. So again, I think we're lucky, I don't know if that's the right word, to have an FA Cup weekend this week where you can just kind of forget everything. Again, I want to win the FA Cup, but it all depends on what your priorities are. If he wanted to do that, he can. But then, come Wednesday and come the following weekend, they just have to go out there and shake themselves off and dust themselves down, every single cliche under the book. And again, I don't care if they win 1-0, 1-0, and it's a corner or a free kick or a set piece. It's irrelevant because especially with the way that the modern conversation works, you'll get the pile on the next day, no matter what, and then we'll just move on to something else. All news is 24 hours now, if not 12. And if we get to 38 games and we've won it, you'll get all you want it taking set pieces. But what a lame argument. All right, you don't want your team to win the league using set pieces? So, just whatever is working, make sure it works. And I truly believe with that sort of extra confidence in your step with winning a trophy, which is why I'm pumped about that League Cup final. I think we can pull off something there that would just change a lot sort of mentality wise. I think it could change everything. But if you want to win the league, you got to go out there and you got to smash a few teams. Not even smash them, just beat them. Just beat the teams that are put in front of you. And I also want to point out as well, because I do it too. I'm sure right now we're just feeling a little bit more negative than maybe would have been otherwise, because that we've seen that league, that gap shrink, and you do start getting scared. And once you start getting scared, you sort of go a bit hyperbole with everything. But there's no reason why we can't do it. Again, if we're actually talking about statistics on paper, I think Sophie said it earlier, we are the best team in the league because we're top. And we are the best team in Europe because we're top. Doesn't mean we're going to end there, but right now we are. So I think we just got to carry that on and just have some belief and see what happens. And if Eze could start playing great, that would be awesome too. So let's just throw that in there as well.
Can I say something quick, Dan, just before we wrap up? Because I wanted to say it earlier and I forgot to. Zubimendi, I think we can probably agree, had a poor game yesterday. I think he's probably been one of our, if not our best player this season. Either the group of 3 or 4. Why is Norgard not playing more?
Yeah, I know.
Every time Norgard plays, I'm really impressed by him when he plays. Whether it's centre half, whether it's defensive midfield, and if Zubi's shattered. Because clearly he was shattered and he gets fatigued. Why is he not playing it? Because especially against Brentford, a team that are really
it's weird.
He's a great player to kind of like turn the transition quick as well. That's why he thrived at Brentford, and that's why it's so baffling. And I have asked, this in previous presses, about when there's a game coming up where he's likely to play. And he's just kind of, I'd say, kind of always just brushes it off, like, he's a great player and he plays, and stuff. But I think, look at Jorginho, how he was used in tandem with Partey. Like, Partey would always come off, Jorginho would come on all the time, or Jorginho would even start a lot of games. I find it baffling.
That's where he's not fearless. That's where he's not fearless.
Yeah, and it's baffling to me because when he has played in the last few games, he's been centre back. Like, I see him in
great,
and he's been really good. But I see him against Kairat. I thought he was easily our best player. I saw him in one of the other games. He came into midfield, thought he was one of our better players. And when Rice and Zubimendi are playing 90 minutes pretty much of every single game, we've got Norgard sat there thinking, just bring me on for 20, please, or 10, 15, because I'm struggling with this. Like, I don't understand the signing, if I'm honest with you. I mean, when he started to play in the first couple of games, I saw him. I thought, oh, not too sure about him. He looks quite weak. But I thought he's been, in the last, 3 months that I've seen of him, when he has played, been a really good sort of squad player that I thought we brought him in for. And you're right, Zubimendi and Rice are both looking exhausted, and he don't seem to trust Norgard at all. And like Lewis-Skelly at the moment, I don't know where minutes are for him, but I think he's good in midfield. From what I understand, I'd like to see it more. We don't see him enough either, which is why I'd like to see both of them, if I'm honest, against Wigan, because I feel like we need to rest both Rice and Zubimendi, man. We're struggling and short in midfield. So I think it's a really good question, Tom, if I'm honest with you. But look,
ask him, Tom.
Yeah, ask him.
He has, as I said a second ago, he has been asked. He just brushes it off.
Yeah, he brushes it off.
It becomes a waste of a question then, doesn't it? If you're just going to get the same answer all the time.
And that's another thing, people always say, ask this, ask that. But if you quickly learn when you say certain things, what gets an answer and what doesn't,
100%.
So. Yeah, without a doubt. Look, talking of press conferences, I know Lee wanted to ask a question to Tom, but I've actually got a question. No. I've actually got a question for judges before that, because I was sent a video about 2 hours ago of judges hanging around with Ty clearly too much, complaining about being in players not lost the game because they haven't been in their beds, and the waterlogged pitch and the length of the grass and all this stuff. What is going on? You've been hanging around with Ty too much, judges. What's happening here?
How long have you been in this game? Like, you know what I mean? Like, to know that, like, totally taken out of context. Like, I was asking, the question was, why is it easier to play at home and away? Nothing about Arsenal, nothing about any other thing. Why is it easier? And my answer was, like, first is the obvious one, is the crowd, you know what I mean, which I think Christian said. The second one, I said, look, it's different things, you know what I mean? Like, they travel like on a coach or on a plane, that was the context I was saying it, like, I actually said some teams don't, some teams walk with their pitch, some teams don't.
So you've been done dirty, is what you're saying. You've been done dirty. Is that
I have been done dirty on it big time. I've got someone calling me an helmet. An helmet. Like, I mean, like, how rude. I'm going to reply to him. How rude. Calling me a helmet. You know what I mean? It was totally out of the context of it all. Like, what is the difference? Because if you look at it, right, well, the conversation, a pitch is the same. It's the same length. It's the same. So why do you win more at home than away? And there's obvious reasons for it, like, you know what I mean? Like, Wimbledon used to water all the floor down and things like that, like, you know what I mean? So that you go in there into a cold, wet dressing room and all that, like. They're all things that are doing. You get on a coach. When I played, if you went on a 2-hour coach, your legs weren't quite as good as they should be, like. And all those little things add up. Just think about that in the bigger picture when it's elite. It's little things like that. Like, that's why Arsenal always, I know this, always stay at the same hotel now for home games, so that they're used to the environment and whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's all little things like that. That's all I said. That is all I said. You know what I mean? Like,
no, look, you cleared it up. You had a right to say. I only heard a clip of it.
This is the trouble. They put the clip on it. And then, like, all of us, and
it was something like the reason we lost, and then it's Lee Judges going, the pitch was waterlogged. We didn't lose. Sorry, we drew the game, but you know what I mean.
Listen, when we played Sunderland, for instance, I'm using Arsenal as examples here, like, you know what I mean? Like, dare I do it? Sunderland put their didn't they put their balls in a bit, or Chelsea done it as well. That's what you do to home advantage. That's why, like, you know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
But listen, we've
all been there. We've all been there.
We have all been there. Do you want to ask your question to Tom now? Because Tom,
it's been a great show, guys. I've loved this.
I just want to know about managerial windows. Listen, I've got to go. I've got to go out, like, so. we'll let him off this time, like, you know.
No, come on, bring it on, bring it on. I want to know what this is.
No, just about the matter, you know what I mean? You've got all those questions to ask, and you ask about managerial windows, like, you know what I mean? What is all that about?
What are you talking about?
It's the interview.
A transfer window for managers.
Tom didn't ask that one.
I wasn't yet. Dan, you've done it. See, out of context.
No,
That was Ian Abrahams
didn't ask
asked
that one.
question. Ian
Oh,
Abrahams.
I was told it was you. I didn't know. I didn't see
Why
it.
did you
I was
believe
told
someone
Tom
else
Cannon
instead of
did it.
asking me?
See, this is what I'm
Wasn't
saying,
me.
Tom, out of context, isn't it, mate? You know,
Oh,
it's
look,
like-
It's not out of context, mate. It's just
That
wrong.
was brilliant.
I didn't even
That
say
was
it.
brilliant. We've called out, yeah. We've called out Tom Cannon
Brilliant.
and Lee Judges for saying they ain't done. That's just asking. Wasn't it? That is just
2026 world.
Sorry,
Happens
Tom.
every
I
day.
was told it was
You'd be
you,
a
and
great
me and Lee thought it
politician,
was
Dan.
you.
You really would. Like, you'd be a
Lee, we should try and get a word a word for Tom that he has to include as part of his question.
Yeah, we should. We should.
Come on, Tom.
Something
A
random.
nice
like
word,
China,
something
for example.
random like
Yeah.
I'll set her out. Is
juxtaposition.
that what you want me to say?
No, but then we'll know that
I'll
you're
leave it in
thinking
the
of
chat.
us.
Don't you dare.
It's crazy. Listen, we better wrap up because Judges has got to go
Sausage.
out, and I don't want to make him late and all that, so we got to do that. But listen, big up for everyone that's in the chat. Big up to everyone who's hit like and subscribe. Make sure you're following OK Jersey as well. Use the code Lee, you'll get 8% off. All the World Cup kits are in now as well, so go show them some love. It's pinned in the message of the live chat and in the description. And Simon, thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you're following
My pleasure, man.
Simon Miller on all YouTube and social media platforms. If you like wrestling, Simon is your guy. Trust me, there's no one better out there than Simon. And we got Tom, Gooner Talk TV, and Sophie, Highbury Squad as well. Make sure you're showing some love to all of them. And yeah, Lee, I'll let you say goodbye to everyone and see us out, bruv.
See you later, everybody. Listen, it's FA Cup week. Who cares? Have a good one.